Hello, everybody. I was able to get Quasar SSR working on Google Cloud today. Um, hey, I thought I'd just do a live stream, see if I can replicate those steps, and then you guys can benefit from it too, and see if you can get an app working with SSR on Google Cloud as well. So let's go ahead and jump into console.cloud.google.com. And then in here, I'm going to start a new project. So we can see this is the one I was doing before that I managed to get working. Now, I should say this up front. You do need to set up your billing information in order to get started with this. So you might want to look into that, see what you get for free, see what you don't get for free, and also set up alerts as well. Look into setting up alerts so that you don't accidentally end up spending money on something that you don't want to be spending money on. So just keep that in mind, set up billing, and make sure that you've got alerts in place and stuff that keeps you aware of what the pricing is and all that. All right, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to say new project, and we're going to call this. I might call this how about Quasar SSR, and I'll add in live there because I've already used this as a name. I don't need an organization. 13 projects remaining in your quota. Yep, that's fine. So let's go ahead and create that project. Give it a second. What's this? Billing must be enabled. I'm pretty sure I have billing enabled. That must be an old error from before, so hopefully this is going to run okay. Anyway, it's going to take a little while for that to get started. Or maybe it's ready for me now. Here we go, Quasar SSR Live. So this is our project, and we're ready to now create our Quasar project that we're going to deploy with this. So we might as well call it the same thing. So let's say Quasar create. I'm going to say branch next, but we are just around the corner from the next version of Quasar, so you might not need to add this if you're watching this at a later time. And I'm going to call this Quasar SSR Live, the same thing. And when that's up and running, so let's just give this some naming stuff. Quasar SSR Live, Quasar SSR with Google Cloud. And we can leave a lot of this as the default. I might use Vuex and Axios just in case down the line I want to sort of experiment with that. And we'll go standard, and we're going to use yarn. Always use yarn for local packages and npm for global. Means you're less likely to run into problems. So while that's installing, let me just run through what else we will have to do. Oh, cool. You can zoom into these individually. I didn't know that. So now this one can be small, and the other one can be large. Look at that. That's kind of cool. Totally useless, though. All right, so we now want to log in with Google Cloud. I can't actually remember how to do that, so I might have to look this up, but I think it's like gcloud something or other. Let's see what we've got here. Might even just be like a knit. I think I'm already logged in though, so but I want to make sure that you know how to log in. gcloud init. I'm pretty sure that's it. And then what'll happen is that will then ask you to log in using Google Cloud. But of course, I've already logged in, so I don't need to do that. So just make sure that you log in with gcloud init if you haven't done that before and set up the CLI. And also make sure that you've got the Google Cloud CLI installed, but you should be able to Google that and figure it out. Google how to get the Google Cloud CLI installed. That's a lot of Google. Anyway, here's our project here. So we can cd into that. By the way, ask any comments if you don't know how to do any of the stuff I just described. And we're going to open that in Visual Studio Code. Throw that up there. Oh, have to jump out of this other project I had open. And I'll zoom in a little bit for you. Open up my console. We might jump out of full screen and throw it on the side there, just so we got some room to play around with. Now, if I say here Quasar build and then set the mode equal to SSR, that's straight away going to build an SSR application for me. And then in order to serve that application, I can then jump into dist and then this SSR directory and then just run Quasar serve. Or you'll notice that we get this package.json file. And in that package.json file, we've got a script here that says start. And that's a way that we can start our SSR server. So there's two ways of doing it. if we go into this, and there's a reason I'm telling you this, by the way, SSR, we can say Quasar serve. And now our SSR application is being served. And let me just prove that to you by saying localhost 3000. So that's like a production version of our application. That's how you can serve it on production. Another thing you can do, like I just said, is say yarn start. And that's basically just going to run this script here. That's going to start our SSR application. And same thing there. If I go into localhost 3000, there's our application up and running. Okay, and this is important because by default, Google is going to use this script in order to start your application. By default, it's going to call start. So obviously, Google isn't by default going to say Quasar serve. It's going to say yarn start, which is why we've got this script in here, and it makes it a lot easier for us. Okay, so in order to run this application, we also need to have a YAML file, a Google YAML file. And let me just try and remember what goes in that. I might even have to open up, something up. Here we go. Here's the tutorial that I based all of this off, that I got from Tobias. Big shout out. Thank you, Tobias, for your help in finding this tutorial. Yeah, and then it wants us to make an app.yaml file. Now, what you might be tempted to do is create it here, app.yaml. However, we don't want to serve this entire application to Google Cloud. We want to serve what is in the dist directory. We only want to serve this SSR folder here. So somehow, we need to get this app.yaml into this directory here. Okay, so this is going to hold all of our Google Cloud settings. In fact, let's do that first. It's going to have runtime, Node.js, env, flex. I'll be honest, I don't even know what that does yet. I think that just means that it'll like make the server bigger and smaller depending on the demand. But don't quote me on that. I'm not actually sure. I'll have to look into that. So now we need to get this app.yaml into our dist directory. But look at what happens. If I copy that and I paste it into SSR, you might guess what's wrong with that. But let me just show you. So if I cd back here, and then I say Quasar build mode SSR, take a look at what happens. Quasar is actually going to delete SSR from that dist directory and then build it again. So now we've lost that app.yaml file. It's not sitting in this directory anymore. So how do we make sure that we have an app.yaml file that we can edit that is going to end up in this directory? Well, this is how you do it. First of all, we want to throw it into source SSR. Right, and the reason I'm putting it in here is because this is where I'm going to hold all of my SSR specific code, right? So this directory is what we use to hook into SSR related stuff with our Quasar app. The next thing I want to do is make sure that this file gets copied into this distribution directory. And we can do that by going into the Quasar conf.js file, and we're going to need to install a package for Webpack. And that package is called copy Webpack plugin. So we're going to say yarn dash capital D for dev, and we want to add copy Webpack package. And then that's going to install that. Oh, I've done things in the wrong order here, I think. Yarn add dev. What's going on here? Unexpected error coded. I'm pretty sure I've done everything right there. Let's try saying yarn. No, that's not how you do it. I'm pretty sure. Let's try yarn add. Oh, okay. Apparently that's not found. Copy Webpack. Oh, it's plugin, not package. Oh, you guys are probably watching this thinking, what on earth was he doing? Copy Webpack plugin. All right, that should work now. Oh, that's my phone going off telling me it's my last chance for coffee. I don't like drinking coffee after 1:30 p.m., so I have an alarm that goes off so I can get my final coffee in. All right, so that should work now. I got that installed. Now we need to make sure we're actually using it. So let's come in here, and I might just copy this down. I will copy that one down. And we'll call this copy plugin and then we're going to require copy Webpack plugin. So that gives us the Webpack plugin that we can then use in order to copy files. Now check this out. If I come down here and I go to SSR, these are all of our SSR specific options. And now here we can actually we can hook in to Webpack, but only for SSR mode. So this means that we can change the Webpack settings only when we're building in SSR mode. So what I'm going to do is say here .use copy plugin. So now we're using the copy Webpack plugin, and let's give it some options here. So first of all, we'll put in an object, and we want to say here patterns. And then we can enter some commands here. And the command is going to be from source-ssr/ and what's the file called? app.yaml. app.yaml. And now you can also add here to say where you want to send it to, but by default, Quasar has already set the default output directory to this folder here. Okay, so by default, we don't even need to add to, it will automatically put it into this SSR folder, which is exactly where we want it. Okay, so basically we're saying, hey Quasar, when you're building this, I want you to use the copy plugin. And I want you to take the file from here, right, the file from right there, and I want you to put it into the default directory, which will end up being right here. So now let's go ahead and run that command. What was it again? Quasar build mode SSR. And now when that's built, everything should work. And there it is. There's our app.yaml. And now what we can do is we can update it here if we want to. And when we build our application, we're going to end up with the correct app.yaml file. So that's really cool. And if I click on there, yep, that's the one that we want. So it's all ready to go. And by the way, no pre-processing is going to be done when you're using the copy plugin. So you're not going to end up with a weird mangled file. It's literally just going to copy the file. Okay, so now that that part's done, we're now going to cd into dist/ssr. Let me just list the files there. Once again, there's our app.yaml. And now all we need to do is say gcloud space app space deploy. So we're basically saying here, hey, Google Cloud, I want you to take my app and deploy it. So let's go ahead and run that command. And this is actually going to take quite some time. I think I actually need to change my default, the project that I'm on at the moment. How do I do that? Because when I originally set it up, it asked me about which project I wanted to use. How about we say gcloud change project. So I actually don't have a lot of experience with Google Cloud. I just wanted to get it working so that you guys knew how to deploy SSR. To change the project, what about gcloud CLI change project? How to change the project? Here we go. There must be an easier way. Here we go. I want to list the projects first so that I can easily copy the ID of the project. So there it is here, Quasar SSR live. And now I should be able to run this command up here. That is gcloud config set project. And then we're going to change that to Quasar SSR live. And there we go. You'll see, when you first authenticate, it's going to ask you what the default project, or the project that you want to be on is. So you might not actually run into that problem. But it's good to know. So now let's see if we can run this command and actually get it up and running. Where was it? It's this one here. Google Cloud, take my app and deploy it. gcloud app deploy. Now this actually takes quite a while. So I don't know if I can talk. Oh, wait, what's this? And then it's going to ask you which server you want to deploy it on. I'm in Australia, so the obvious choice for me is going to be Australia. So let's come up here and find, there we go, Australia, Southeast 1. So let's select number 7 there. Enter. And now it should deploy that to the Google Cloud Australia server. Cool. So really, I know this video has been a while, but really all we're doing here is we're making sure we have an app.yaml with our configuration file. And the configuration file is ridiculously simple, right? All we're doing is making sure that that file is sitting within our SSR directory. And then we're running, say yes there. And then we're just running gcloud app deploy. So the steps are actually like really simple once you've got it up and running. We just needed to add that extra step using chain Webpack. That was kind of the only finicky part. But yeah, from then on, everything should just work. So I'm just going to give this a little while to run. And maybe there's something else that I can do in the meantime. I should probably check if there's any YouTube comments. None yet, which is totally fine. The next thing I do want to figure out, though, is how I can do this in a way that's a little bit more scalable. So I don't think I would actually do this unless I was doing unless I was deploying something that is only used in Australia. So if it was something that's going to be used all over the world, so for example, Quasar, I wouldn't want to do it in this way. I'd probably want to use like cloud functions. So later on, I'm going to look into using Netlify's cloud functions to see if I can make this, see if I can build this in a way that people will be able to access it quickly all over the world. Because if you're in America and you go to this website that I'm deploying now, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time for you to get the files because, you know, you're hitting a server that's all the way over in Australia. So yeah, I've kind of been looking into how I can do that with Netlify. So might do a video on that later on if I can figure out how to make it so. Yeah, so while that's happening, I don't know, what else can I do? Maybe I could show you something cool. Oh, I mean, there's a couple of things. First of all, I can mention quasarcast.com/register, of course. So if you want to check out a lot of the other videos that I do, this is a live stream, so it's not as clean. A lot of my cleaner videos are sitting on quasarcast.com. So you can register your account there, and it's going to ask you if there's any other, if there's any videos that you would like me to build. And then if we go to quasarcast.com, then these are the courses here. This is like some of the courses that I've been working on at the moment. Yeah, so there's that. Also, check this out. If I go to metabase.quasarcast.com, Metabase is this really cool tool that I like to use to analyze my data. So if I go Metabase here, it's really awesome. And basically, you plug it straight into your database, and Metabase allows you to like very easily start analyzing your data. You can do like where clauses, left and right joins. You can do plain SQL if you want, or you can do like your SQL queries in their builder, which is really, really nice. And the whole thing's like totally free, unless you want to pay for their enterprise type plans. And that gives you a couple of extra features that I've never needed anyway in the past. So check this out. I've actually got a dashboard. I've got to make sure I don't show any private data here. So I'm just going to throw it to the bottom screen. There we go. That's sitting on my bottom screen. And there is no private data, which is good. So yeah, now I can get like, I created all of these graphs and stuff, which are really easy to create using Metabase. You just do a query and then basically like spit out the results. And it tells me like how many users have signed up, and it gives me an idea of when users signed up. So I had a pretty good day there. We got 5 users. This would have been when the first episode of the Quasar show came out. And you know, you can see I'm averaging about maybe like 3 users a day, probably just over 3 users a day if you average it all out. There's a few where I get none, which is totally fine. We're just starting out here. And then I can sort of see the cumulative growth. So I can see like, if, you know, it looks like the growth is very steady at the moment. I could try and find ways that I can sort of make that slope a little bit higher if I ever do like advertising in the future. I just thought this was like a really cool thing that I could get up and running fast. And then, so that's what I'd use for like my more in-depth analysis on my database. But then I've also got this other thing called, what's it called? There's Metabase and there's another one. Oh, I'm forgetting. What is it? It's called like, man, Google Analytics Alternative. Let's see how this is going. No, still going. Told you it takes quite a while. I think it's called like M something. Matomo, there we go. So if I go to matomo.quasarcast.com, once again, I'll throw this in the bottom screen just to check there's no data privacy that I'm violating here. But I'm pretty I've actually set this up so I can't see any info about my visitors, so I don't have their names or anything like that, which is how I wanted it. Yeah, cool. All right, I'm fine with that. So now I can see like visits over time. I can see that I've had 10 visits on the site today. We've gotten 2 visits from India. You know, you can get a bit of a map of how it's done all over the world. And we could even like say, hey, give me from, have we got an all-time one? I don't know. Let's just give me one for like the entire year. And this is all running on my server. I was able to install this on my server, which is really, really cool. And it sets up its own database, gives me a snippet that I can put on my site. And since they're on the same subdomain, then that just works. So I thought this was like a really awesome tool. And look at that. Now I can see like we get quite a few visits from Australia, the United States, quite a few from India, get a few from Russia. This is like really nifty. And then I can see, and you know, it's just like Google Analytics, but I don't have to use Google. I can host it myself. And since my application isn't too massive at the moment, I can totally handle this kind of traffic for my own analytics. But then the next thing I'd probably move to is Fathom Analytics after that, which is a alternative to Google, which is much more privacy focused. And they, you know, these guys use Laravel and Laravel Octane, and I just really like the way that they do things. They're very transparent, and you know, the guy who built the site, or one of the guys that built the site, is very active on Twitter and writes blog posts about some of the problems they face, and writes stories about how their website gets attacked and how they deal with it. You know, because when you've got a website as big as theirs, and that kind of thing happens. Anyway, this is still running. By the way, you guys could totally, if somebody's watching this, there's a good chance you don't need to watch till the very end. Once that's run, it's going to tell you, it's going to give you like the domain that you can visit to actually go to the website. But yeah, that's kind of what I do in terms of analytics. Maybe I can show you a little bit more of how this works. So now we can go to the QuasarCast database. Once again, I need to be careful not to show data, so I'm not going to go into here, but I could go into courses, for example. And so now I can see these are all of my courses. Maybe rather than courses, we go to lessons. Here we go. These are the actual videos themselves. Yeah, and now I can do stuff like this. I can do a count on it and say, like, summarize, just count all my data. I think I can just do that. And there we can see I've got 56 lessons on the website at the moment. What else can we do? We can do some filtering. So maybe I just want to say, only give me the lessons where the date was between. So created at is between, did I say between? Yeah. And then add in a date there. So like, then again, I don't upload these diligently in terms of the day that they were created, but that's totally fine. So I can just say like between those dates, and then add a filter in. It'll tell me the courses created between those dates. And then you can start doing joins as well. So I can say, for example, QuasarCast. Let's go to ask a question, custom question. And then I can say courses, right? But then I can do a join on that. So then we can say, actually, well, let's not start with courses. Let's start with lessons. And then we'll do a left join. So let's get rid of that. It's just like an easier way to do queries. So that's going to be a left join courses where the course ID is equal to this ID. Look at that. It even like automatically figured out the right IDs for me. How cool is that? And now we can preview that data. And now we're going to get our lessons with the course data as well. How cool is that? And then when you finish, you can like add filters here as well. You know, however you like. And now we can sort of like visualize that data. Anyway, I thought that was like really cool. Now we've got created at and updated at, but we've also got the courses created at and updated at. So you can make these wide tables. And especially if you've got a lot of data and you want to do analysis on that data, this can be super helpful. So, oh, there we go. It's deployed. Woohoo! Did it work? It did. So now I can control click that. And there is our live SSR website. So it took a while the first time, but I think that might be because the server's warming up. So let's get out of that and jump into it again. And okay, looks like it's actually not that fast, but yeah, I don't really know why that is. Look at that, it's even secure. It's added a certificate as well. So there we go. If you ever wanted to deploy it again, you could then just say, you'd build it and say gcloud app deploy. And I'm guessing it would be faster the second time because you've already installed all of your like node modules and stuff like that. So this is kind of like, it really is similar to deploying with something like Versal or Netlify, except you're probably going to get a little bit more versatility with something like Google Cloud because you've got all the other stuff available that Google Cloud has to offer, which I think is kind of cool. So there you go. That's how you deploy a Quasar application to SSR. I might do a cleaner video down the line. And hey, if you enjoy this sort of stuff, then check out quasarcast.com/register. And once you register, I'm actually going to ask you the question, what kind of videos would you like me to build in the future? So definitely do that and let me know the kind of videos that you would like to see. And by the way, Metabase is also a cool way for me to get the answers to those questions. So rather than building a tool, because I haven't really built a tool for it yet, tag Gables, what is that? Oh, that's probably a typo. Probably meant to write labels there. That's terrible. Anyway, I don't know what that's all about. Weird. But yeah, I could say, for example, where is it here? Video idea forms. So I could jump into there. You're not going to see the names of any of the users, but here's all the things that people have said. So now I've got this really awesome list of things that that people would like me to build. Learn more about Quasar. Vuex and the composition API, View 3 with Quasar. Like, this is really helpful stuff for me, and I can view it very easily with Metabase. And if I wanted, I could then attach the users via the ID field here, in order to like dig into that data a bit deeper and see what certain users actually want me to build. Then I could send an email out to that user saying, hey, I went ahead and actually built that video for you. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, that's Metabase. I showed you Matomo, and in this video, we set up a live application using SSR. So that was fun, pretty cool, and I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. I'll see you in the next live stream.